Sandy River Bell.
Another one in the same key. This has
Sandy.
This is Miss McLeod's Reel, or Hop High Ladies, or
Uncle Ned.
Old Ed.
No. Sandy.
Hi there, friends. Brad Kolodner here, welcoming you into the second online Old Time Banjo Festival. And we've got a great lineup for you tonight. There are performers from all over the place joining us this evening, and we've got Cathy and Marcy here as well as the MCs along with me this evening. And we're looking forward to a great night of banjo music. How are things going down there in Lansing, North Carolina?
Lansing, North Carolina, high on a mountain where old Belle Reed used to live. Things are pretty good. It's been rainy. We get a lot of rain around here, but it's just beyond gorgeous. If anybody saw my Facebook picture a couple days ago, it pretty much looks like we live in a movie set. And people started naming all the different movies that it might have been. So it's if you're going to be isolated, they certainly can't find us here.
Well, there is a.
And how's Baltimore?
Well, there has been a frequent lightning over the past couple of minutes here outside of my window here in Baltimore City. So just a heads up, if the power goes out, this show will be over. But hopefully,
Well, if the power goes out at
doesn't happen.
Brad's, we'll figure out some way to pick up on Facebook, and then Brad's going to go find someplace where the power ain't out, and we'll figure it out. But
Indeed, yes.
We'll
What
see how it
happens?
goes.
Sign back. Come back in 10 minutes.
yeah, stick with us.
Right.
So this is the second online Old Time Banjo Festival. It kind of falls in line with this ongoing festival that I ran for a long time called the Mike Seeger Commemorative Old Time Banjo Festival, and we used to have that live at the Birchmere Music Hall, and various different venues hosted some of our workshops. Brad has been part of that, and then Brad, in addition to running a great ongoing old time jam in Baltimore, is a member of multiple groups: Charm City Junction, the Brad and Ken Quartet, and does a duo thing with his dad, Ken Kolodner, and Brad's phenomenal banjo player, and as many of you know, also a radio host on bluegrasscountry.org. We were just discussing how many banjos are in his personal collection, and it seemed like he was coming up at about half a dozen, but he's young, he's got time.
I feel like that's like a reasonable number as a full-time banjo player. That's like I feel like I have some students and friends who have dozens and dozens of banjos that just line the walls of their house. So I feel like I'm
Well, just for kicks, I'll show you. I'm
Yeah.
going to play this later in the set that Marcy and I do, but this was one of Mike Seeger's banjos. It's the banjo that he played in the New Lost City Ramblers. And when we get around to our set, I'm going to use it on something, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So if you've just tuned in, our artists for tonight are Brad Kolodner, Cathy and Marcy, Joe Newberry from Raleigh, North Carolina, and all the way from Ireland right now, we've got Rhiannon Giddens is going to be participating. And we are also doing workshops tomorrow. So if you just found out about this and you went, what do you mean there's workshops? You can go to a website page that we'll have to put up on a link somewhere. But actually, there's an event on Facebook for the Mike Seeger Commemorative Old Time Banjo Festival, and Brad can probably put it in the YouTube chat so you can find out more about it, because there are 3 workshops tomorrow, one by Rhiannon Giddens, one by myself on singing with the banjo, and the third one, who's doing the third workshop tomorrow?
well, let's see, we've got Joe and Cathy and Rhiannon.
That's right. And then the next day, it's going to be Brad, Rachel, Eddie, and Laurel Primo. So, hey, it's a monstrously great banjo weekend. Thank you for joining us. And let's kick it off with Brad Kolodner playing us a tune or two.
All right. Well, thank you, Cathy. Yeah, I'll ask my pal Alex Lacomont to join me here, and we'll be back with you, Cathy, in just a minute. So thanks so much. Well, this has been such a treat to put together this festival with Cathy, and we've got a really nice lineup for you this evening. And I'm joined here with Alex Lacomont, my good pal, who we play together in the band Charm City Junction, and Alex also tours regularly with my father, Ken Kolodner. How you doing over there?
I'm doing good. It's great to be online in a great space with a bunch of banjo players. I'm a banjo player myself, so I'm thrilled to be here playing music with my pal Brad over here.
So let's just get into playing some music, and how about we do a medley here? But these are a couple of my favorite tunes. We'll do Winder Slide, written by Joe LaRose, and then another new old-time tune called Sadie at the Back Door, written by Jerry Canode. Just check my tuning real quick here. And if you're out there listening, tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always really exciting to hear where folks are in these, and just to help us feel all connected. And I know we're all doing our best to keep the music alive, and that's what we're trying to do here with this festival and celebrating the banjo. And we're gonna have a great night of music. So let's kick it off here with a little bit of Winder Slide. Alrighty, Sadie at the Back Door and Winder Slide, two of my favorite tunes to play here on the banjo, here with Alex Lacomont. And we're going to toss things over to Cathy and Marcy, who are joining us all the way down in Lansing, North Carolina. I'm up here in Baltimore, and we are here at the second online Old Time Banjo Fest and having a great time for round two. It was such fun back in early May, and we were trying to think about when to do this again, and we figured why wait another year, you know, when folks are home craving music. So I'm really thrilled that we were able to get this off the ground again. So what do you have for us, Cathy?
Well, we've
was
got
great.
a bunch of different banjos, but first, just loved both of those tunes.
Oh, thanks.
And Brad's got a pretty unique style. He's going to be teaching you some of that cool stuff on Sunday in the workshop. So while we're playing, he'll post a couple links so you know where you can get all the details.
Yep, I'm doing a
And
workshop on
Marcy and I are actually going to start with a kind of reworked version of the song Darling Corey. We have been going through lots of the old songs that we sort of find we've avoided for years because we didn't really like how things turned out for the women. And finally we said, hey, this is one way that we actually can change the history. So Darling Corey, you know, she often goes to jail for being a moonshiner or various different things happen. But in this case, you'll find out what happens to her.
It's like the musical way of tearing down a statue.
That's right. Wake up, darling Corey. What makes you sleep so sound? Revenue officers are coming. I'm gonna tear your still house down. Well, the last time I seen darling Corey from the banks of the deep blue sea, 2 pistols round her body and a banjo on her knee. Wake up, darling Corey, and go get me my gun. I ain't no man for trouble, but I'll die before I run. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the cold, cold ground. Dig a hole in the meadow. They wanna lay my Corey down. Don't you hear the bluebirds singing? Don't you hear that mournful sound? Darling Corey, she's a running, and we'll never find her around this town. Run! Yeah, here we go! worry. She gets away. The moonshine's safe. So,
Moonshine is-
off to...
you
we're
gotta
gonna-
have your priorities.
Now, Marcy's playing a banjo called a cello banjo. It's a 4-string monstrosity with a 14-inch pot. Lowest note is a C, tuned exactly like a cello. And we're going to feature her right now in a little tune called Washington's March.
Oh, okay.
Marcy Marxer on the cello banjo. Well, we've got a banjo that I showed you earlier on. This banjo was played by Mike Seeger, and it's got a couple of stories behind it. I guess he was contacted by the Vega Company in the early 60s, and he was interested in one of their white lady banjos. And this is actually, I've had this banjo about 10, 11 years now. It still has the strings that Mike last played on it. This is the banjo that he played in the group the New Lost City Ramblers. And when this banjo was being talked about, the Vega Company made him exactly what he wanted. He goes up to Boston to pick it up. That's where they were at the time. And apparently they had made a banjo thinking, Mike Seeger's going to play this banjo. And they fancied it up with head-to-toe inlay. And he took one look at it and he said, well, it sounds very nice, but I could never play anything that fancy. Can you make a simple one with just dots? So then there's the mystery, because they made this banjo for Mike. And the other banjo, we're not really sure what happened to it. There is a chance that it went to Roscoe Holcomb, but we're not 100% sure. And there might be somebody watching who knows a little more about it than I do, but that's all there is to it. Now, Mike defaced it just a little bit on the inside. I'm going to show you. There is a label here. Where is that label? It's right here. It says The Gibson right next to the banjo's label there. And he also put this Belknap Incorporated extra quality bluegrass trademark right there. It's just like a sticker that he
What's the
stuck
sticker
on
the
there.
front?
And the sticker on the front also says gold medal winner, California State Fair. So I don't know if that was the cow that the skin came from, or I have no idea. But what I do know is that this was the banjo that Mike played in the New Lost City Ramblers around the time that he was rambling around Kentucky looking for Doc Boggs. And if you're a banjo nut and you haven't heard of Doc Boggs, go to Smithsonian Folkways Recordings and just start listening. He was a coal miner, he was a banjo player who recorded in the 1920s, and approximately 40 years went by between his early recordings and when Mike Seeger, who had heard those recordings, managed to find him in Kentucky and get him to play some music and record. Next thing you know, there's a whole body of recordings that is really, really amazing. Well, everybody thinks of these old-time players as just playing the music of the Appalachian Mountains, but Doc Boggs apparently listened to the radio and bought some recordings, because this is one of 2 songs that he recorded that came from a blues singer named Sarah Martin. Sarah Martin recorded this song in 1923, and she sounded a little like Bessie Smith, and she had Clarence Williams playing the stride piano behind this song, and Doc Boggs took it, turned it into a blues banjo piece, and it's called the Mistreated Mama Blues. Doc Boggs, the Mistreated Mama Blues. You can hear his recording on Smithsonian Folkways Records, and you can hear my recording of it, which I'm pretty sure Marcy plays on an album called Banjo Talkin', which now is available on Bandcamp. Oh, I don't want this banjo, I want that banjo.
Well, you tell me what you want
Okay,
and I'll get it
pass
for you.
me that banjo.
Oh,
So,
right, that's a nice one.
somebody I got to play a little bit of music with was Tommy Jarrell of Mount Airy, North Carolina. Now, tomorrow night, Paul Brown's going to be performing, and he played a lot of music with Tommy Jarrell. When I played with Tommy, it was mostly rhythm guitar. He liked my rhythm guitar playing. But his Come and Go With Me album was on endless rerun for me for a very long time, and particularly this song. It's a well-known song. It's known as The Blackest Crow. He called it Time Draws Near. And it's a really interesting song in his banjo accompaniment, because it's somehow simple and complex at the same time. I never leave the second fret, but it's just enough accompaniment to make this song sort of lonesome and beautiful. And it's called Time Draws Near. Retune. The time draws near, my dearest dear, when you and I must part. But little you know of the grief and woe of my poor aching heart. It's 'cause I suffer for your sake. You're the one I love so dear. I wish that I was going with you, or you were staying here. I wish my breast was made of glass, wherein you I'd behold, and there your name I'd write, my dear, in letters made of gold. In letters made of gold, my dear, believe me when I say you are the one I love the best until my dying day. The crow, she is so black, my dear, would surely turn to white. If ever I prove false to thee, bright day would turn to night. Bright day would turn to night, my dear. The elements would mourn. If ever I prove false to thee, the sea would rage and moan.
I got the best seat in the house for that. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank
That's
you so
Cathy
much.
Fink.
And tomorrow, my workshop at 2 o'clock is on singing with the banjo, learning how to put together an arrangement, learning how to accompany yourself. So many people are just playing tunes on the banjo all the time, and we're tune lovers, so that's not a problem. But, you know, I often get a lot of students who want to learn how to sing, accompany their singing, create an arrangement. So that's my workshop tomorrow, and Brad will post all the details and on where you can find the workshops. And now, as you can see, we're going to play the little tiny banjo with the great big banjo. And what are we playing, Marcy?
Let's play some blues.
The blues.
Let's play some old-fashioned blues. This is from the Mississippi Sheiks, and it's from 1928 when sales tax was instituted, and the people were not happy about it.
All right.
Are you feeling blue?
I'm feeling blue.
I am too.
I'm
Let's
feeling
do
blue
it.
enough to play a banjo ukulele.
Oh my goodness, I never thought about it that way. the sales tax on her stuff at home. Well, the sales tax is on it.
Sales tax is on it.
The sales tax is on it.
Sales tax is on it. The sales tax is on it. Everywhere you go.
Now this will make you really. I went to D.C. town to buy me a coat. Well, I'd gladly pay that sales tax if I get the vote.
Yeah.
Yes, the sales tax is on it.
Sales tax is on it.
The sales tax is on it.
Sales tax is on it. The sales tax is on it. Everywhere you go.
Playing banjos.
She mad.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the sales tax is on it.
Sales tax is on it.
The sales tax is on it.
Sales tax is on it. The sales tax is on it. Everywhere you go. And it is. The sales tax is on it, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we've got just one more tune for you before we bring Brad back on. Maybe ask a skill testing question or two. Get on to our next guest. Mike Seeger is the reason why Marcy plays a cello banjo. He came on over to do some recording for the first Old Time Banjo Festival recording that we did long ago, and he brought a 1917 Gibson cello banjo with him, and after he had me play it on his recording, which really, she's the one with all the cello banjo
It was
talent,
great.
but
You
he
did
had me
great.
play it on the recording. Then Marcy picks it up, she starts whipping off fiddle tunes, and Mike goes, that's pretty cool, I might leave that here for a while. And we didn't know how long he was going to leave it, so
We
as
changed
soon
our phone number.
as he went to bed, we worked up this song, and it's always been for me the reason why cello banjo came around.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful tune. It's an
Fits
old
with old times,
fiddle
so-
tune called Coleman's March, and we play it as a very slow, sort of lamentful thing, and dig out all the low C's on that cello banjo. Coleman's March. Well, that was lots of fun. I think Brad's probably coming back in a second so we can chat for a minute. Oh, and look at that. He's got his gourd banjo. Hey, Brad.
I do. I've just been running through some tunes while listening to you.
Oh, you're cheating. You're
I was
practicing. Who has
cheating.
time for that?
That's the joy of these online streaming things. You can turn your camera off and you have no idea, what's going on. Anyway, there's been a
Hey,
lot
Brad,
of...
let's tell them about the tip jar, just
Oh,
in
yeah,
case
yeah.
people didn't know about that. We are streaming this for free, and we have a lot of people who have registered weekend passes for the Old Time Banjo Festival. And in a way, you've already made your contribution to this, but anybody who's watching that wants to make sure that tonight and tomorrow night's performers get a little bit extra, go ahead and put some money in the tip jar, and you can do, paypal.me/Brad Kolodner.
That's right, or there's a Venmo as well. It's all there in the description, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And
Perfect. We call this begging for dollars. Banjo players do it a lot.
Uh-huh. Well, so
Did we
anyway,
get a collection plate?
that was a lovely set there, and
Thank you.
Cathy, I really appreciate how you managed to play a different banjo on pretty much every song. That was quite impressive.
Go ahead, ask me how many banjos I have.
Okay, how many banjos do you own?
I don't know. I just know Marcy has more. She
Now-
has all the weird ones.
Is that
She
right?
has like
Really?
a
Wow.
collection of all the weird sizes and crazy banjos. But we just love playing. We don't collect anything just to kind of have it, because we do a lot of studio work and a lot of performing. And even when we're just hanging out, it's like so fun to try different sounds. And I've even been known, when she's not looking, to play clawhammer on her 4-string cello banjo.
Oh, wow.
But only when she's not looking. And by the way, she's a pretty good clawhammer banjo player. She will never show that off, but there was a music camp we played a couple of months ago before COVID, and one of their banjo teachers couldn't make it. And the person who ran it called me up and said, "Do you think there's a chance that Marcy could teach clawhammer?" And I said, "Sure." And, basically, she can play absolutely anything that she picks up. It's, she's mostly left 5-string banjo to me, so I don't look bad. But
I get to hear my
That's nice.
she's a
favorite
really
banjo player.
great player.
day.
So lots of fun. And so, hey, we should have a quick skill testing question here.
Sure thing.
And in light of the fact that our next guest, Joe Newberry, did some playing in the John Hartford tribute band. He was part of that John Hartford Songs album that got a Grammy nomination. The trivia question, and I'll take a look at Facebook to see if anybody answers. Okay, Tom Ball, you're watching, so see if you can get there first. The trivia question is, what key did John Hartford tune his 5-string banjo to? Now, we're typically in G, but just don't even say G, because that's not it. And now, hey, you're holding your gourd banjo. Why don't you play a little riff or two while we give people a chance to try to answer, Brad?
Oh, sure. Just a little taste of this. Yeah.
Here he
sure thing.
goes.
Here's a little bit of this tune called "Shaking Down the Acorns."
Yeah. version of that tune.
Yeah, I love that one. I recorded that with my dad on our latest record. He was playing Hammered Imbira on that tune, and we had Alex Lackamal on bass. It was a super fun, super groovy recording. That was actually a tune we played at Clifftop last year in the neo-traditional band contest.
And that new album is called Stony Run,
Stony
yes?
Run. That's right. Yeah, it came
All right,
out.
you can find that on Brad's website. And hey, we did get multiple answers, and some of them were correct. But the
Okay.
first person, at least on Facebook, who gave us a correct answer was Mona Goodwin.
That's
all
what it
right,
looks like.
she said the key of E, and that's true. I think John Hartford put heavier strings on his banjo, tuned it in an open tuning like the G tuning, but lower down to E. Several other people got it right, but anybody on YouTube there?
It doesn't look like it. I think
Doesn't look like it.
Mona
Okay,
is
well,
the
you know,
winner.
next time that question comes around, you'll know the answer, and we might even ask it tomorrow night to see if anybody was paying attention. Hey, Brad, do you want to introduce Joe?
Sure
Or would you like
thing.
me to?
Yeah, how about you? How about you take the reins on this? You and Joe probably have been playing together and known each other for quite a while out there on the scene. So how about you introduce Joe?
I'd be happy to do that. Joe Newberry is pretty darn versatile musician. Number one, he's an incredible songwriter, and he's won many songwriting awards from the International Bluegrass Music Association. A lot of bluegrass bands have played and recorded his songs. He is a phenomenal guitar player, great singer, tours as a duo with, how much you paying me, Joe? Tours as a duo with Mike Compton a lot, sits in lots of different bands, and is really an amazing banjo player as well in multiple styles. And actually, I think some of the most fun that I've had with Joe was at Midwest Banjo Camp last year when we did a workshop together on the music of Grandpa Jones, who was a big influence on my playing and I think on Joe's as well. And as many of you know, he was a frequent guest on the Prairie Home Companion. He did the transatlantic sessions many times, and one day COVID will be over and Joe will be back on the road. But in the meantime, we have the great pleasure of hearing Joe Newberry sing and play for us right now. Joe, take it away.
That was such a kind introduction. Thank you, Cathy, and Marcy, and Brad. Goodness gracious, what great playing. I do want to say that I was not in the Hartford Tribute Band, although actually all bands are that played this kind of music are Hartford tribute bands. That was my duo partner Mike Compton was in the Hartford String Band. But like I say, we're all playing Hartford tributes. I'll start off with a number from Hobart Smith, and it's in Last Chance tuning. I've been enjoying investigating this tuning. It's F C F C D. And if you have a hard time remembering that tuning, just think of your friend Newberry's elementary school report card. That would be F, C, F, C, D. So I'll play Last Chance, and I'll do another one out of this tuning that is not usually played in this tuning, but, you know, having a good time with it and just messing around, which is, for you banjo players, that's what we really need to do, is just play and mess around and make mistakes and learn from that. So anyway, Hobart Smith's Last Chance. goodness. Play one that's a little slower. I love the singing of Roscoe Holcomb. I don't have a voice that high. And I love the singing and playing of Bascom Lamar Lunsford. And so both of them did a version of the tune Swan Noah Tunnel. And I thought, well, as long as I'm still in this tuning, I'll give that a try. My duo partner, April Virch, I tell people I'm in my two favorite duos. I play with Mike Compton, I also play with April Virch. And when April gets that fiddle tuned down into a low tuning, it's a rule in our duo. We have to play at least two numbers because she took all the time to get down there. And I'll do the same with this. I'll play Swan Noah Tunnel out of this tuning. We'll see what kind of music we can make with it. I might even do a little bit of singing too. I'm going back to the Swan Tunnel, buddy, that's my home, baby, that's my home. Asheville Junction, Swan Tunnel, okay, baby, okay. Last November I remember when blue cold, baby, when blue cold. Last December, you will remember. You called me bold, baby, much too bold. See my watchdog scowling. Somebody's round, baby, someone's around. If you hear that hooter howling, somebody's dying, baby, someone's dead. Ring like silver, shines like gold, baby, shines like gold. Take this banjo, throw it in the river. It rain right on, baby, shine right on. I'm going back to the Swan Tunnel, oh, that's my home, baby, that's my home. Yeah. I'll pick up a little bit of the guitar. I figure that the occasional guitar number is not so bad, even on a banjo festival. So we'll give this a try. Do a number from E.C. Ball, the great E.C. Ball. I'm satisfied. Got to move where you can see everything. When I reach that city over yonder, I'm gonna have me a mansion on the other side. I'm gonna tell my friends how glad I am to see them. When I get home, I'm gonna be satisfied. I'll have me a harp of gold like little David's. When I get over on the other side, I'll sing and play with a band of 1,000,000 angels. When I get home, I'm gonna be satisfied. Peter, James, and Paul. I'll sit and have a talk with Dad and Mother. Lordy, that would be the best of all. I'll have me a harp of gold like little David's. When I get over on the other side, I'm gonna sing and play with a band of 1,000,000 angels. When I get home, I'm gonna be satisfied. When I reach that city over yonder, I'm gonna have me a mansion on the other side. I'm gonna sing and dance and shout all over glory. When I get home, I'm gonna be satisfied. I'll have me a harp of gold like little David's. When I get over on the other side, I'm gonna tell my friends how glad I am to see them. When I get home, I'm gonna be satisfied. When I get home, I'm gonna be satisfied. Hard to beat. You know, E.C. Ball was a holiness preacher, but he loved that thumb picking. So we figured out a way to sort of do both. Talk about the spirit, but also do that good boom and chuck. I had a chance to work with my friend Jen Larson, and we were going to teach at the Augusta Heritage Center this summer, teach bluegrass singing, but that wasn't fated to be. So we worked out some long distance learning, and then we were working on this song. We were going to do it as a duet, and I had so much fun working it up just on my own that I thought, well, I'll put it in some shows just because. It's Ralph Stanley's "Willing to Try." Part of the thing when you write songs, I tend to write songs that I hope sound old to match their writer. But when you write songs, you want to try and make it fit, and so I wasn't quite done singing this song, so I wrote a third verse. So I'm going to sing it. It's unaccompanied, but I'm going to sing it for you. I may not be able to sing like the heavenly angels. I may not be able to preach like Paul. I may not be able to walk on the water like Peter, but I'm willing to try. No, I may not be able to walk like him, and I may not be able to talk like him. I may not be able to stand so tall. I may not be able to walk like him, and I may not be able to talk like him, but I'm willing to try. I may not have the obedience of Abraham's sacrifice. I may not be able to stand so tall. I may not have the endurance of Moses in the wilderness. But I'm willing to try. I may not be able to walk like him, and I may not be able to talk like him. I may not be able to preach like Paul. I may not be able to walk like him, and I may not be able to talk like him. But I'm willing to try. I may not have the conviction of Saul on the road to Damascus. I may not have his faith at all. I may not rise to heaven singing and a shouting. But I'm willing to try. No, I may not be able to walk like him, and I may not be able to talk like him. I may not be able to preach like Paul. I may not be able to walk like him, and I may not be able to talk like him. But I'm willing to try. There you have it. And just so I'm not precious all the time, I'll do one from West Virginia. And it's not about heaven. Come on, all you booze fighters, if you want to hear about the kind of booze that we sell around here. It's made way back in the swamps and the hills where there's plenty of moonshine stills, and we don't give a darn for the Volstead law. And for prohibition we don't give a straw. It's made out of buckwheat, rye, and corn, and all bottled up in some barn. And the lamb will lay down with the lion after drinking this old moonshine. Tip up your head and take a little drink. Then for a week you won't be able to think. The first thing you know, you'll be getting kind of tight out on the street trying to raise a fight. Tip up your head and take a little more. Then for a month you'll be feeling kind of sore, and you'll swear you won't drink it anymore. But you've said that 1,000 times before. And the lamb will lay down with the lion after drinking this old moonshine. One drop will make a rabbit whoop a bulldog, and one drop will make a cat chase a wild hog, make a bullfrog spit in a black snake's face, and make a hard-shell preacher fall from grace. And the lamb will lay down with the lion after drinking this old moonshine. And that's all there is. Picking up the banjo for another number. And I'm actually, I know this is kind of hard to believe, but I'm going to attempt, ladies and gentlemen, to tune the banjo. I know, please do not rush the stage. I was working on something last week, and I hadn't thought of it in a long time. The wonderful Kentucky musicians Jim and Zelma Bowles. Jim Bowles was an amazing fiddler, but his wife Zelma was this off-the-charts wonderful banjo player. And they played a tune called Christmas Eve. And so any traveling musician will tell you that the holidays are just around the corner. So if you see that tip jar, go ahead and make one of these musicians' days. in that tune, I put a lot of the techniques that I'm going to be working with in our workshop tomorrow. I like hanging out a lot of time at what I call the intersection of second and fifth, and that would be the second fret and the fifth string. A whole lot of music can be found right there, and you don't have to move around, and it's great for when you're in a session and you're trying to catch on to the tune. This way you don't have to move around very much. A lot of the music that you'll find is right there on the second fret, open strings, and the fifth string. I'm going to play a little bit of Angeline the Baker, and then we'll bring it back, and we'll bring back Cathy, and we'll bring back Marcy, and maybe we can even get Brad on the line. And then there's a bunch more to come, including Rhiannon and Giddens. Can't wait for that. So I'm going to play just about one time through of Angeline the Baker, only the second fret, open strings, and fifth string. Thank you, Cathy and Marcy and Brad, for having me tonight, and what a joy to be with y'all.
Hey, Joe, that was fantastic.
Thank you, ma'am.
That was beauteous, and so many great comments on Facebook and YouTube. I took a look on both formats, and it looks and sounds great, as you always do.
Wonderful.
So, hey, here's a skill testing question, and we're going to ask Joe Newberry this skill testing question. But go ahead, if you know the answer, put it in Facebook or YouTube. What kind of banjo did Doc Boggs play?
I believe he played a Gibson master tone that Mike Seeger found eventually ended up with.
Well, Mike did end up with that banjo, and I think Ry Cooter now has it.
Oh, was it an RB 100 or was it a Gibson master tone?
I think it's a Gibson master tone, and from what I read, Doc Boggs loaned it or pawned it or sold it or something, and 26 years later got the same banjo back. That may not be the case. I'll have to reread those liner notes, but regardless, I'm pretty sure that Ry Cooter has that banjo now, and when he toured with Ricky Skaggs recently, a couple years back, that's the banjo that he was playing.
It's very cool, very cool. I've got a friend who has the original head that was on that banjo when it broke. They didn't throw it away. He actually got it, and he has a beautiful picture frame where you can see both sides of the banjo head. It's very cool. It allows you to go in and just nerd out in a big way.
Yes, well, we banjo people can nerd out quite a bit, can't we, Brad?
That's what this whole festival's about, right?
Hold on. I need to. Hold on. I need to. Hold on. Stop it. Okay.
Oh, speaking of nerding out, so I think Joe Newberry, when I first met you, was at Augusta in Elkins, West Virginia. I think you had just recently gotten that banjo that you're playing.
This is my slug banjo.
Yeah, that's what I want you to tell that story. This is a good story because it was really gross.
In a good way. In a good way. I ordered a special banjo from Kevin Enoch, and he brought it. He finished it and brought it the next year. And the whole time it was pre-email, so we would call on the phone and I'd talk in a dreamy fashion about my banjo. Oh, and I want it to just be black lacquer. I just want it to be plain. And Kevin's known for his inlay, but there's no real, aside from one star and the position dots, there's not really anything. And he kept calling me and saying, "Are you sure you don't want anything?" No, I don't want anything, really. Well, he brought it, and we were in the parking lot at Davis and Elkins College up by the chapel, and he said, "I did something. I couldn't help it." And I said, "What?" He said, "Well, I put my name in red on the dowel stick. So that night I go sit outside. We're drinking some, adult beverages. That's when I drank adult beverages. We played for a couple of hours. With my new banjo, thrilled. I said to everybody, I've got to teach tomorrow, so I'm gonna go to bed. So I put the banjo back in the case. Case had been laying out there on the lawn. Put it up. Went to class a little bit early because I told a lot of the students, I've got a new banjo coming. So they were there. They wanted to see it. I opened up the case, and I look inside, and my first thought was, I didn't think Kevin did inlay. And then I realized that while I had been playing tunes and drinking beer, slugs had crawled in the banjo case. And so that whole night, they made their way up the banjo and down, and so it was slug trails everywhere. It looked like a real live tree of life.
It
and
was so disgusting.
Oh, I gave a little rabbit cry. And word spread apparently around campus because at the break, I sort of took a towel and wiped it down. My friend Bob Smokula brought me a little jar with a hand-lettered label that said "Slug be gone." And that's the story of my banjo.
I saw it. It was so disgusting. Basically, I would have screamed and yelled and hosed the damn thing down.
And my new
and brand new. It was brand new.
Oh yeah.
What were you saying, Joe?
No, I was just shuddering a little bit, just thinking about it.
Well, thank you, Joe, so much for joining us here. This
Yeah,
is a ton of fun. You've got a workshop tomorrow, and there's still spaces available for that, so you can go to the info page on Cathy and Marcy's website and sign up for his workshop. And we'll see you tomorrow, Joe. Thanks for such a beautiful
having me.
tonight.
Awesome music.
Yeah, fabulous.
Good night, Joe. All right. So, we've got one more featured performer this evening, the great Rhiannon Giddens, who is currently in Ireland and understandably so wasn't feeling too inspired about a 1 or 2 a.m. set. So we pre-recorded the set with Rhiannon, but it's totally exclusive to us here at the Old Time Banjo Festival. And Rhiannon's been such a powerful force in the scene for many years. And Cathy, any other orders of business before we carry on here?
Well, just don't forget the tip jar, folks, and the links in case you want to sign up. You can still get a full weekend pass. Rhiannon Giddens' workshop is tomorrow at noon. She's doing one particularly on strong rhythm playing, and she'll be playing a fretless banjo, but also adapting everything so that if you don't have a fretless banjo, it's all going to make sense. And other than that, when Rhiannon's done performing, we're going to come back and goof off a little bit with some other tunes here, but let's just dig into this and have a really great time.
All right, folks. Well, this is a set that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. We're thrilled to have Rhiannon Giddens joining us for this banjo festival. As I said, one of the most powerful and important voices in not only old-time music for many years with the Carolina Chocolate Drops, but pursuing her solo career and the latest project, Songs of Our Native Daughters, which was up for Grammys, and just a force to be reckoned with and a very important figure these days in roots music. So without further ado, let's hear from the great Rhiannon Giddens here on the second online Old Time Banjo Festival. Take it away, Rhiannon.
Everybody, Rhiannon Giddens here, playing a little bit of tunes for you as part of this concert. I had to re-record mine because I'm in Ireland and it's 1 a.m. is a little late for me, so please forgive me for not being live. And a big thanks to Cathy and Brad for having me join this festival weekend. It's not the same as being with everybody, but it sure beats not being with everybody, if you know what I mean. So we at least can be together in this way. So those were two tunes. The first one, obviously there were two tunes. The first one was a tune that I adapted from the Hans Sloane document from, I can't remember, the 1500s, I think, or 1600s, from Jamaica. So it's one of the earliest tunes written down, gathered from Black voices in the New World, and I adapted it and added a third part to it, and it's actually now a part of the overture to the opera that I'm writing. So just trying to get the banjo everywhere I can. And the second tune is called "Following the North Star," and snuck that one into a ballet a couple years ago. So you know, stealth banjo. So just gonna play a few tunes over the next 15 minutes, I suppose. I'm gonna play, I don't really have a solid plan. I'm just kind of going with how I'm feeling at the moment. I'm gonna retune this to a major vibe. I'm gonna play a tune. I'm gonna go back to my roots, I suppose. I first started playing music playing old time music in North Carolina, and one of my main mentors was a man named Joe Thompson, who, if you don't know about him, you should check him out. He was a pretty amazing musician. I met him when he was 86, and he was the last surviving link to the black string band tradition that used to be vast and numerous and went on for a long time in the United States. So I was very lucky to get to play with him before he passed in his 90s. So this is a song I learned from him, and a lot of my banjo style really comes from playing with him. Obviously, I didn't play this kind of banjo when I was playing with him, but I've adapted some of the things that I learned with him for this 1858 model banjo. It's a replica, don't worry. I'm not... Tighten that up a little bit. my bread. Now, don't you put no shortening in my bread. Huh? What's going on? I'm getting a message from oh, the camera's shaking. I hope you don't mind. But I feel like there's probably a lot of foot tappers out there amongst you, so I don't know. I don't know how to do it without foot tapping. So we'll see what I can do. That's Francesco there behind the behind the good sounds and the camera. So he's helping me out because he's amazing. So I'm gonna do a few more for you. I wanted to do a couple of songs of immigration before my last piece. So I'm gonna do a traditional one first that I learned from Sheila K. Adams. So from the western part of North Carolina, and it represents one strand of immigration. And then I'll talk about the other song when I get there. So this is called Pretty Sarah. Yes, I'm giving myself a note. It happens. When I first come to this country in 1849, I saw many fair lovers, but I never saw mine. Have you had all around me, so that I was quite alone, and me a poor stranger and a long ways from home? Well, it's not this long journey I'm dreading for to go, nor the country that I'm leaving, nor the debts that I owe. There's only one thing that troubles my mind, and that's leaving my darling pretty Sarah behind. Fare thee well to old mother, fare thee well to father too. I'm a-going for to ramble this wide world all through, and when I get weary, I'll sit down and cry, and I'll think of my darling pretty Sarah, my bride. Well, I wish I was a turtle dove, had wings and could fly right now to my lover's lodgings. Tonight I draw nigh, and there in her lily white arms I'd lie there all night and watch them little windows till the coming of the day. So that's one side of things, and then I've got a song that I've actually just written. That I want to play for y'all. and build your house, build your house, build your house. I laid the brick and built your house and raised the plants so high. And when you had the house and land, the house and land, the house and land, and when you had house and land, and then you told me go, I found a place to build my house, build my house, build my house. I found a place to build my house, 'cause I couldn't go back home. You said I couldn't build a house, build a house, build a house. You said I couldn't build a house, so you burnt it down. So then I traveled far and wide, far and wide, far and wide. So then I traveled far and wide until I found a home. I learned your words and wrote a song, wrote a song, wrote a song. I learned your words and wrote a song and wrote my story down. But then you came and took my song, took my song, took my song. But then you came and took my song and claimed it for your own. I took my bucket, lowered it down, lowered it down, lowered it down. I took my bucket, lowered it down. The well will never run dry. You brought me here to build a house, build a house, build a house. You dropped me here to build a house. I will not be moved. Yes, I will not be moved. Yes, I will not be, I will not be, I will not be moved. So these are a couple of tunes, old-time tunes. First one I learned from the Pilot Mountain Bobcats. Many years ago, I've made an adjustment to it, thinking about November. And the second tune is I learned from Hubby Jenkins. It's called Last Chance. It's a banjo tune, but I learned how to play it on fiddle with him, so. So, my name's Rhiannon Giddens. Thank you. Thanks.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rhiannon, for that beautiful set. And
Really
if
awesome.
there's a video of Rhiannon and Yo-Yo Ma playing that new song of hers floating around out there on the internet. And wow, what a treat that was to have Rhiannon here with us at the Old Time Banjo Fest. And Cathy, you have known Rhiannon for a while. I think, weren't you at Swananoa with her way back in the day?
I believe that I was her first banjo teacher at Swananoa, maybe someplace around 23 or 4 years ago, something like that. And she was a great student then, but obviously went on to learn from many, many other people. And she's got a great community spirit. I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate is that Rhiannon believes, as I think we do, that the music serves multiple purposes and it goes beyond entertainment. And, to me, banjo's just, it's like part of my soul. And I think she clearly feels that, and she clearly feels connected to the roots of the banjo. I know she went to, I believe it was Mali, and studied some canting and banjo stuff long, long ago. And, throughout her work with the Carolina Chocolate Drops and so many other different bands and renditions, now in her incredible duo with Francesca, he's such a great musician himself. And in fact, in their duo on stage, she's often playing Mike Seeger's actual Gibson cello banjo that we first were introduced to. And I'm so appreciative when someone like Rhiannon comes along who grasps onto the tradition, takes it to new places, writes new things with it, wants to encourage people to get involved not only in the music, but the spirit of the music, the history of the music, and the actions that we can take because this music moves us. So that's pretty great.
And I think it's particularly special to see how, even though at this moment in her career where she's got so many big projects, that she's willing to take the time to perform for us here at this Old Time Banjo Festival, which it's just, we should, we're all very grateful for her work in general, but I think it's just a sign of how she acknowledges her roots, and just how she got started on this path of playing old time and banjo and fiddle, and it's just really special that she was able to make time for us. And we've got a workshop with her tomorrow that has plenty of space in it. So if you'd like to sign up, you can visit the Cathy and Marcy website, and she's got a workshop that dives into some of the rhythmic techniques she's learned, and particularly the black string band influence in her playing. What a treat that was to have Rhiannon here with us.
Absolutely. So when you go to cathymarcy.com, CathyMarcy.com, go to the Lessons tab, and under that Lessons tab, you'll see another tab with all the details for this weekend's festival. It's not too late to get yourself a weekend pass, and the weekend pass people not only get into all 6 workshops, but Sunday night we're going to have a jam session with most of the instructors, and that's going to be really super fun as well. Brad leads weekly jam sessions. He's phenomenal at it. The rest of us do our darndest. That's all we can do, But the other thing is, I feel like Rhiannon is also in the footsteps of people who encouraged us all, and that includes Mike Seeger, who kind of kicked off this whole Banjo Festival thing with Marcy and I about 16 years ago. And again, you're calling your heroes, your heroines. You're saying, hey, are you willing to try this crazy thing with us? And he went, yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Let's do it. And he did it with us for 3 years until he passed. And so we feel like Mike gave so much to this old time music community, to the banjo community. If y'all haven't heard his album, Southern Banjo Sounds, I would call it an absolute must. But when we go back and we listen to Doc Boggs and Roscoe Holcomb and so many of the great older performers that are now gone, they were recorded by Mike Seeger. and we get to listen to that forever. So we're very grateful about that. Hey, Brad, quick shout out for a couple of things. Don't forget there's 3 workshops on Sunday as well, plus the jam session, and tomorrow night a concert, same place, same time, different acts. Brad's going to be here with his band. Is your dad playing with you?
Yeah, I think my father will be joining me for a couple of tunes.
And they'll do some tunes from his new album, Stony Run. Paul Brown, who is not doing a workshop, is going to be joining us, and he is a luscious, amazing, wonderful banjo player. And then who else is playing? Laurel Primo and Rachel Eddy. So it's really a great evening tomorrow night. For those of you who aren't signed up for workshops, you can still come into these concerts. And last call for the tip jar, just in case your glass is about empty like ours. And now we're gonna try and bring Joe Newberry back.
Actually, I already Joe. We lost him in the meeting here, so I could give this a try with you here.
Yeah, we're gonna give a little try to a
it.
handoff. Marcy and I pulled this off last week in our guitar festival, and frankly, folks, if it falls apart, we all had fun with the banjo. But we're gonna try and play a tune and hand it off to Brad and have him hand it back to us. We even did it with Andy Offit Irwin this week with him doing some amazing whistling. So just kind of the big finale part of tonight's show. We're so glad you are all here. Thanks for enjoying the banjo. And baby Willow has been watching with her mom. And
after this, I'm here still here with Alex, who toted along his bass. So I would like to play another tune with Alex before we say goodbye.
Please do.
If that's okay. But before we do that, let's try this banjo handoff, because I'm very curious to see what kind of train wreck this turns into.
Do you want to play with Alex first, or you want to do the handoff first?
Let's play a little. Sure, let's do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll end
do
with
something professional first, and then we'll just goof off for y'all.
Yeah.
Because hey, folks, we can.
Yeah, we're gonna do something that I've been working up lately. So I don't know. Have my gourd here and Alex with the bass. So we'll do one more little song and then some trade off, and yeah, it'll be fun. All right, here we go. Back up a little bit. Ugh, slide on my chair. Okay. Cool. Well, let's see. So I'm here again with Alex Lacomont. And
banjo players out there.
I'm on my gourd banjo here, and I'm going to do a song here that I particularly inspired by lately. It comes from the singing of Peter Rowan, and it's called Angel Island, and it's a song he wrote about a story that he imagined. Angel Island is in the Bay of San Francisco, and it's a beautiful spot, largely undeveloped. But for many years, it was an immigration station for nearly 1 million immigrants, mostly from Asia, who came through that port right there in Angel Island. And families were separated, and a lot of those immigrants weren't treated very well at all. And it's an interesting part of our history. And I was just reminded with the recent decision in the Supreme Court keeping DACA in place, and I just thought about this song, which I've loved for many years, and thought I'd share it with you here. It's a story about a couple that gets separated here. It's called Angel Island. Paper bride came all the way from China, Golden Gate, San Francisco Bay. Spent a lifetime on the Angel Island, waiting for our wedding day. There's a fortune on the Golden Mountain, I stake my claim there in the fall. I left my bride on the Angel Island. She wrote these words up on the wall. One more lifetime, one more lifetime, one more lifetime, loving you. Working the gold fields in the high Sierras, early snow began to fall. Buried treasure for my darling under redwood, tree so tall. Snowed in all winter on the Golden Mountain. When I returned there in the spring, my bride was gone from the Angel Island. No one knew where, no one knew when. One more lifetime, one more lifetime, one more lifetime, loving you. Now I live my life like a Chinese painting. Shadows wash against the sky. Empty brush strokes for my darling. We never said our last goodbye. One more lifetime, one more lifetime, one more lifetime, loving you. Train from England to Spain. couldn't get no letters from his home. Oh, me, oh, Lord, my. He couldn't get no letters from his home. Alrighty, Ruben's Train here with Alex Lacoma on the bass. And yeah, that was fun. All right, thanks for letting me squeeze in another tune here before the night is up here. And I think we were trying to get Joe back in here.
Yeah, I just texted Joe. Let's see if he's still awake.
Yeah, maybe we'll be able to squeeze him back in. I saw that he was trying to join while I was playing, but I felt like it might be a little odd to stop mid-tune. And
if anyone could do it, you could.
I am.
Just
There's
keep
a lot
playing
of
and let
tech
him in.
juggling going on, trying to make it as simple as possible.
Well, we're just about at the end of the evening here, folks, and we want to thank you so much for being here. Hope that you'll join us tomorrow night. Anybody wants to sign up for the workshops, go to cathymarcy.com. Look under lessons, and you'll have all the details there for the Old Time Banjo Festival. Joe just said, I am, but he kicked me off and I can't rejoin. Terrible.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Joe.
Well, then I guess it's going to be a two-person handoff here, and we're just going to make believe that Joe is here.
Do you want me to operate the computer?
A big thanks to Joe Newberry. No, he's gone.
I mean, between you and Brad.
Yeah. You. Well, I don't know.
can
We're
do
just
that.
going to leave our mics on and let it be
Okay,
messy.
what the heck?
So here's what happens, folks. There's this thing called latency. It's been a popular concept lately. That's when Brad hears us about 2 seconds after we play, and we hear him about 3 seconds after he plays, and we're going to play a little tune called Mississippi Sawyer and hand it back and forth and see what the heck happens. Here we go. Oh, that's not it. the goofing off we
Oh
can
my
do,
goodness.
folks. Thanks for joining us. That's Brad Kolodner with Alex Lackamont on the bass. And we'll see y'all tomorrow when the workshops begin at noon. Feel free to throw a little more money in the tip jar and go to cathymarcy.com. Look under the Lessons tab. You'll find out all the details for all the workshops. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody, and good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.